We know that the FNAF multiverse is a thing, hell it was the topic of a previous video, but what if instead of us being in the FNAF world, Afton somehow managed to get into our world? Well, he might have already done it. And the implications of such are what we're exploring today. So, in the words of Rhett and Link, let's talk about that. This idea came to me thanks to the Freddy and Friends On Tour episode 4 glitches that ended up revealing Glitch Trap when you assembled them like a puzzle, which I found out on my own despite people in the comments claiming someone on Reddit already did it. I couldn't find the post when I saw these comments, okay, so in my mind I did it first. Anyways, this made me think about just what abilities Glitch Trap could have now that he's sentient code that can apparently possess people who put on a VR headset, and honestly, I think with that ability to possess people as code, not even as a spirit, just as code, makes him literally able to do anything. But if we want to keep at least some element of realism, we can say that he can possess people, but he would have to return to the game. He couldn't go directly from a person to something else, which would kind of make sense. Now, how could Glitch Trap operate post FNAF VR and prior to the release of Security Breach, since this theory doesn't really involve that game? Well, let's work backwards. What could cause Glitch Trap to appear in Freddy and Friends On Tour? Well, that show is clearly a riff on the Fredbear and Friends On Tour show that we saw hinted at in FNAF 4 on the TV, the same Easter egg that gave us the date of the game of 1983. And if we think about this and how it coincides with the Many Worlds interpretation, every possibility does exist. The Earth where the show is called Freddy and Friends also exists. This could be a way of signifying that this is in fact another Earth, since both shows seem to have a similar theme, with Fredbear in the original case interacting with Foxy, and then clips of the various characters singing and performing, which follows the plot structure of the Freddy and Friends episodes, with characters running away from Foxy and then ultimately performing, eventually performing with him in the final episode. It's also worth mentioning that while we expected 6 episodes revealing all 6 numbers of the release date, with the final 2 being Roxy and Monty, we didn't get those. We got 4 episodes, stopping when the last animatronic from the original gang was in the thumbnail, meaning that there may not be anyone else, at least at the time. It's also worth noting that the website showcasing the latest episode, securitybreachtv.com, also has hidden messages around the desk if you hover your mouse in certain areas, with the majority of the screen being "Be careful," hovering over the phone saying "I thought I heard something," the Steel Wool Studios logo saying "We know all," and the button to play the latest episode just having question marks. These are things that remind me of how psychic friend Fredbear would speak to us in the minigames for FNAF 4, only further solidifying the FNAF 4 connection. And you know, since I said it, I have to do it. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who are you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear. So if this is FNAF 4's Fredbear and Friends cartoon, what would that mean? Well, my idea is like that of an old theory of mine, that the FNAF multiverse is beginning to expand as the release of Security Breach and ultimately the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative games draw closer. The Fazbear Fanverse Initiative, if you don't know or remember, being a collection of fan games that Scott funded so that they could get new installments or versions, along with helping the creators with merchandising and porting the new games into consoles and getting them on store shelves, which is incredibly generous. He was also staying out of the development process so that they could make the games they wanted. The games included our Five Nights at Candy's 4, the Joy of Creation Ignited Collection, Pop Goes Evergreen, One Night at Flumpty's 3, and Five Nights at Freddy's Plus, which is a reimagining of the original FNAF game, which is where I'm guessing this universe's timeline starts or builds off of, considering how Five Nights at Candy's relies on the FNAF story for its own story. The most notable one for me, personally, out of all of these games, is the Joy of Creation, and those of you familiar with the game may already know why. In the Joy of Creation, you play as Scott Cawthon and his family as they try and survive real-life FNAF animatronics, known as the Ignited animatronics. These are drawn to the house thanks to another character coming from the games, Michael. And since that game takes place in our world, in the real world, I think the groundwork is being laid for that story now. This game specifically needs to be remade since the assets that were used in the original were copywritten and found in the Steam library, etc. So they have to remake all the assets already. So remaking the story so Scott doesn't quit after FNAF 2 and instead retires before Security Breach is entirely in the cards. This game is also the outlier, the one that takes place in a world where FNAF is a game and not real, unlike Five Nights at Candy's. So making the world that game takes place in be this world would also be astounding for from marketing. Scott retiring may not have actually been because he's tired of making games that aren't for his kids, or because of the whole donating to anti-LGBTQ+ politicians. It could have been pre-planned, and Scott used his cancellation as a way to get more eyes on his retirement. Since the story revolves around Scott retiring, and he now has, it's entirely possible that this game gets updated to involve this drama, especially because the animatronics and Michael will need a way to get out of the games. But how could they do that? It's extremely unrealistic, right? Like, how could game code suddenly break out of their game into our world and become sentient? You see where I'm going with this? Glitchtrap. He is the reason. He's the key to how this story could realistically, albeit somewhat unrealistically, work. Glitchtrap being sentient code from the main FNAF universe could use his control over the games and code to basically pull these characters out and put them into real endoskeletons or microchips and send them after Scott. And he could be testing these abilities, hence why Freddy and Friends is different to Fredbear and Friends, because he can't pull things over perfectly, which in turn would help explain the ignited forms of the animatronics. It also explains all the glitches in the episodes, with the other world, the actual FNAF world, breaking through. Hence why the scenes we see glitched through are actually taken directly from the trailers. And the only glitch that wasn't in the trailer? The Glitchtrap puzzle. But how could he have gotten here? How could Glitchtrap have gotten from his universe onto our YouTube? It's simple. Us. YouTubers like me who have played through the oh-so-famous FNAF VR. Since what happens at the end of the game when you collect all 16 tapes? You get assimilated by Glitchtrap and merge with him no matter what you do. And then where do you end up uploading the footage of you getting merged to? YouTube. Where did Glitchtrap pull the episodes of Fredbear and Friends to that caused them to get slightly modified because this isn't 1983? YouTube. We, as the player of FNAF VR, and then the YouTubers uploading the gameplay, managed to get Glitchtrap onto our YouTube, and as such, he is now able to be the link between the universes, letting Joy of Creation Ignited collection to be updated and based on our real world. I personally don't think that Scott was really retiring. I believe that at least it started out as that plan, but maybe now he enjoys the life, so he may just stick to it. Who knows? Well, only Scott. And Scott Cawthon isn't known for talking clearly. There we have it, friends. Glitchtrap is the link for the FNAF multiverse. You're welcome. Multiverse is kind of a theme with No Way Home coming out. No Way Home released 2 days ago, and Security Breach released 3 days ago, as this is going out. Yeah, wow. Multiverse, man. It's gonna happen. I really hope that I'm right about this, because that would be awesome. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.